Yesterday, the Director of Communication at Parliament, together with other parliamentary staff, were arrested in conjunction with Anita among corruption scandal. Corruption at Parliament was so huge that it took the public to do an exhibition on Parliament so that it could be shown. In fact, very many people came out to defend this. The Speaker of Parliament herself came out to say that it's because they passed anti-homosexual law that people were fighting up, contrary to what was happening. Literally, corruption was fighting back. When you see the charges slapped on these people, it is embezzlement and corruption. In fact, let me first play you a clip when the judge was reading these cases. Here's the tape.
Chris OBORE, during the period of 2023 to May 2026 in Parliament of Uganda, while employed as a Director Communications and Public Affairs at Parliament of Uganda, stole 5,253,100,000 shillings only, the property of your employer, to which you had access by virtue of your employment. And count 2 is for A2, embezzlement. The particulars are that Adilo Daniel, during the period of 2023 to May 2026 in Parliament of Uganda, while employed as Director Human Resource, Parliament of Uganda, stole 14,608,613,150 shillings, to which you had access by virtue of your employment. Count 3 of embezzlement in respect of Okema Leonard. The particulars are that during the period of 2023 to May 2026 in Parliament of Uganda, while employed as Executive Secretary, Office of the Speaker of Parliament of Uganda, stole 3,489,400,000 shillings, the property of your employer, to which you had access by virtue of your employment. Count 4 of embezzlement, contrary to Section 18 of the Anti-Corruption Act, in respect of Rajab Kaya Semalulu, is that during the period of 2023 to May 2026 in Parliament of Uganda, while employed as Principal Research Officer, stole 2,170,108,000, the property of your employer, to which you had access by virtue of your employment. Count 5 of embezzlement, contrary to Section 18 of the Anti-Corruption Act. The particulars are that Okwi Emmanuel Emron, during the period of 2023 to May 2026 in Parliament of Uganda, while employed as the Principal Protocol Officer, stole 1,105,000,000, the property of your employer, to which you had access by virtue of your employment. Count 6 is in respect of A6, who is not here. Count 7 of embezzlement is in respect of Otebata Vincent, that during the period of 2023 to May 2026 in Parliament of Uganda.
That is the cases which were slapped on these people. For those who don't know Chris OBORE was the Director of Communication at Parliament. Literally, she was an handbag to Anita Among. And this is a sign that soon even the former Speaker Anita Among will be taken to court and later to jail. Because in a serious country, you cannot steal in that way with a lot of impunity and remain outside. What I fault the state is it took the public to make the IGG yield. It took such a long time, almost 2 years, without the state doing anything. Yet, evidence was coming out in public that these people were siphoning public money. This video, that if it is being watched by the IGG, I think is Nachas Ruse or Nachas, if I'm not mistaken. Why do you wait for the public so that you can yield? You have power. It is an institution that can arrest anyone. even before the public knows, because you are funded to do intelligence, to fight corruption. But these people wait for the public to whistleblow before they do anything. These people wait for the president to do anything. Yet a lot of corruption was in the public eye. So, the purpose of this video, I've come to talk about the arrest of different staffs of parliament, what it means for our politics, and most importantly, the study materials you can learn from the politics of our nation. But before I do this, I want to let you know that if you're into this channel, please subscribe. And if you're watching this video from a different platform, please head on to YouTube, type in Sula Mawagwe. There's a lot of content of this nature. If geopolitics and economics is what you want, this will be definitely the right channel for you to subscribe to. One, when corruption was going on in Parliament, the director of communication acted like a handbag of Anita Mong, because a lot of money was even put on his personal account. These people were so stupid. How can you get public funds and siphon them through your private account so that you can elude accountability? In fact, it reached a time when the director of communication at Parliament was like a communication officer of Anita Mong instead of defending Parliament itself. On a radio station when the exhibition were all over the country, he came out to say that the people who are exhibiting that Parliament is siphoning money merely want to unseat Anita Mong as the Speaker of Parliament, and that they are doing so ignorantly. They don't have evidence. In fact, hesitate.
These people you are talking about, corruption in Parliament, ask any of them. Bring me a document here where you have found Anita in corruption. Oh, we read in the what? We read in this. Those are not leaders. Those are not leaders who read rumors and then translate it into judgment for other leaders. They are disrespectful in their own right. In my view, they are disrespectful. You can't. So you are referring back to the exhibition which has no evidence. I can also exhibit
there were documents around.
I can also correct this and circulate around about Lukwago. You see?
So you're dismissing those documents that were
that exhibition was hogwash. It was a campaign aimed to achieve at where they are now, so that they become the speakers. But there's nothing. You see, in Uganda, you don't just move money like that. Uganda has very competent institutions, by the way, if you don't know. That you just pick 100 million and go with it. You think you are the only citizen in this country that you just pick and go. So well, you just let them admit that Anita Mong has outsmarted them in one, leading Parliament, two, in mobilizing for her party. That's why you know the friction comes from. She beats them hands down. If it is mobilizing for her party, she's there. If it is doing Parliament business, she's there. Now, if you ask them, if you think she's been corrupt, where have you been taking all that Parliament money yourselves? What has it done when she was not the Speaker? What was Parliament able to do? That's extraordinary from what Anita has failed to do. Can they tell you? So the element here has been try to degrade her in the eyes of the party chairman, who in his wisdom identified her from the FDC. This I must tell you. Identified her and worked with her. If there is anyone to appraise the performance of Anita Mong, it is Yoweri Kaguta Tibuhaura Museveni. Not anyone. Because most of them, Yoweri has data about each and every one of them. And he can appraise each one of them objectively. So why are they skirting around that? So what they try to do is to try to say, let's throw this here, throw this there, in the hope that they lower the estimation of the president on Anita Mong. Why? You just steal money and say and go there. It's even bad to use this word steal. What? It is easy in Uganda to tell you that Lukwago, you're a rapist, and somebody goes scot-free. If you go to court, they even scandalize you more.
That is Chris OBORE. Now, things are turning out to be serious. They are turning out to be so serious that these people were stealing money. So you clearly see that one, I thank the government from taking the mantra against corruption, but they are coming in too late. You remember when they exhibited Parliament, Museveni was quiet, every institution was quiet. even these people arresting, the IGG arresting these people, it is because of General Museveni writing a letter nearly after 2 years when the exhibition happened. People were arrested because of this exhibition, taken to Luzira prison. Corruption was fighting back. The state was keeping quiet until they waited when they had to settle political scores. Okay? This cannot be. So for me, I think, one, after arresting staffs at Parliament, Anita is going to follow suit. And for me, I highly think if indeed they wanted to even put the net wider, there is no way you can even leave the deputy speaker because they were eating together. Money was going on the deputy speaker's account, the speaker's account, etc. And if they continue investigating, even Thomas Tayewa is not going to be left out. That's the truth. The director of communication reached even a point of that he couldn't defend the house. She could just descend individual. There is a day he came out to call himself a German Shepherd defending Anita. In fact, another tape is here.
In fact, I think the exhibitors are becoming uncomfortable that the speaker is not speaking. But the speaker does not have to talk about every rumor. Now, if a speaker picks any rumor and begins to talk, that's not the role of a number 3. In any case, when you have a German Shepherd at home, is the German Shepherd to bark? Do you also bark when your dog is barking?
That is the tape of Chris OBORE. So for me, one, part of our problem is corruption. Second, we have a leadership that thrives on corruption. Even this one of Parliament, we must not be happy that they are arrested because NRM itself survives on corruption. It is the truth. Remember when ministers stole iron sheets, only Nandu who was put in the jail. How come? Because from the vice president, prime minister, all ministers they stole. It shows you. And for me, I think they learn from someone. If you still, in our culture in Uganda, they say if you are putting your baby at the back and you go to steal matoke from someone's farm, he's learning from you. So I suspect that these ministers are stealing public funds left, right, and center because they are learning from someone. NRM thrives on corruption. But I will give it its flowers for coming out boldly, although it is too late. Of course, it's my PM truly, Mr. Makindi Kabir Suleiman Margaret. If you're into this channel, please subscribe, like, and comment so that I'm motivated to do more of such videos. I'll see you on another one. Peace.